Hello students, welcome to MCQ video discussion on Medico apps. I, Dr. Ankita, today will be discussing about the piggyback wedging technique MCQ. A MCQ which is based on the piggyback wedging technique. That means the key word here among the MCQ which I am going to discuss with you is on the piggyback wedging technique. Actually, wedging technique is an important question which is also asked in the theoretical examination along with your examination in the Viva. So let's start the MCQ discussion, but before that I want you to subscribe our YouTube channel by hitting the bell icon so that whenever I discuss such kind of MCQs, also the short topics discussion on dental topics, you will be notified for all those. And in case if you want me to discuss certain dental topics with you, short dental concepts with you, you can also mention it in the comment below so that it will be helpful for me to understand that which are the topics which you want me to make you understand. So let's start by understanding and hitting the bell icon and resolving this MCQ. So here the question basically belongs from the conservative subject. Okay, and the question has been asked in the local PG examination, and this question basically the wedging technique can be and has been asked in the All India PG examination also. But here I will be specifically discussing about the piggyback wedging technique, but along with that, to resolve the MCQ and to eliminate the options, I want you to know the other two wedging techniques also. So we will be quickly discussing about those two, actually all the three wedging techniques which are present and which are done in the tooth. So in this, the question belongs here is, and the question states that in which condition piggyback wedging technique is indicated. That means the indication of piggyback wedging technique is asked here. So the option says that the proximal caries with gingival recession, option A. Option B is tooth with fluted surfaces. So the concave surface, the concavity of the fluid surface which is present basically in the mesial surface of the maxillary premolars are the fluid surfaces which makes the bands to retain in the band matrix to be placed in that particular tooth. So is the wedging technique indicated there? The option C is class 2 with wide proximal box, or option D is narrow class 2 cavity. So let's start by first understanding what exactly do you mean by wedging technique. So let's start by first understanding what do you mean by wedging techniques. So a wedging technique basically, or a wedge technique is basically a technique which is used to separate the two tooth. Okay, now why is the separation of the two tooth important? So whenever we are doing a cavity preparation and when we are filling the material, the dental material which we are going to use in the cavity, we need to form a contour of the particular teeth, especially when we go for a class 2 cavity. Okay, especially when the two teeth are in contact with each other. So if the two teeth are in contact to each other, how will you fill the particular the proximal surface? In that case, this wedging technique is useful in separating and placing the band matrix so that the contour of the tooth is well maintained. So basically these wedging techniques are of three types: the double wedging technique, the wedge wedging technique, and piggyback wedging technique, on which the question has been framed. So we will first quickly understand one by one about the double wedging technique and other two wedging technique. So when are we going to call it as double wedging technique? And please do focus on this because these smaller points only makes these wedging techniques differentiated to each other. So the double wedging technique, basically two wedges are used. Wedges, they are nothing but a plastic or a wooden triangular structure which is used to separate the two teeth, the proximal surface of the two teeth. So where are these two wedges being placed? So one is inserted from the buccal embrasure. So if this is a tooth, okay, if this is a tooth, okay, here we are discussing about, and this is the upper surface. Okay, so this is the buccal surface, okay, and this is the lingual surface. Okay, the below one is the lingual surface. So one is inserted from the buccal surface. That means one is coming from the buccal side, and the other one is, if this is a tooth, okay, if this is a tooth which is placed here, this will be the buccal surface and this will be the lingual surface. So if a wedge is placed from the buccal surface and one wedge is placed from the lingual surface, that wedging technique is known as double wedging technique, because two wedges are coming from two different surfaces, one from the buccal embrasure and second one is the lingual embrasure. Embrasure is nothing but the contact point between the two teeth. Okay, the proximal surface which are touching the two teeth, the embrasure, with the space which is present in between them, we will be placing these wedges in between these two. So if these are the two teeth, okay, so understand like this, if these are the two teeth which are present in contact with each other, and this is the proximal surface, so this one, the surface which is facing you is the buccal surface and the surface which is facing me is the lingual surface. So one wedge which is coming below, okay, in this area, if it is placed, that is buccal embrasure, and the one which is being placed from the lingual side, that is from my end, is the lingual embrasure. So two wedges are placed into one particular position, that is double wedging technique. The indications for double wedging technique are, that is very, very important, because the examiner usually places these wedges and they ask you that where this wedging technique can be used. So double wedging, firstly you see how the wedging technique is used. The double wedging technique is used, one is coming from the buccal surface and the other one is coming from the lingual surface. And where is this double wedging technique is used? Where the space between the adjacent tooth, where a single wedge is not sufficient. Okay, there is spacing between the two teeth is sufficient and we can place two wedges together, that there we can use this double wedging. Another important point or another important indication, first indication is this, second one is in case of widening of the proximal box in the buccolingual dimension, that means in the class 2, and that was one of our options. So that option C is now removed, because it is an indication of the double wedging technique, that in case of widening of the proximal box in the buccolingual dimension, that is your class 2 cavity preparation. So this is double wedging technique. Moving to the wedge wedging technique, again here also two wedges are used, but here the difference is that if these are the two teeth, one wedge is inserted from the lingual embrasure area, that is from my end, that is from the tongue area. One wedge, this is the lingual surface, so one is inserted from the lingual area, but the other wedge which is being inserted is not from the buccal surface. Rather than that, the wedge is inserted between the wedge and the matrix band at the right angle to the first wedge. So as you can see, if these are the two areas, if these are the two teeth and one wedge is already present from the lingual surface area, the other will be present from above. Okay, so it will be something like this, and one wedge will be present here. This is the other wedge which has come from the lingual surface area. So it appears something like this, that the other wedge is inserted between the wedge and the matrix band at the right angle to the first wedge. So it will be like this at the right angle. So here I hope you have understood that why it is called as wedge wedging, because one wedge is coming over the other wedge. Okay, so that is why again two wedges are used, one from lingual and other one is at the right angle. And what are the indications? Where are these wedge wedging technique used? So it is basically used while treating the mesial aspect of the maxillary first premolar. Why? Because I have already told you in the upper first premolar, there is presence of the fluids. These are the fluids or the concave areas, which makes the matrix band placement difficult. So in case if the matrix band is difficult to place, this wedge will be supporting. Okay, and the right angle wedge will also be supporting this particular matrix band near the root, near the gingival area, and that will help in producing the proper contour of the tooth. So this technique is used basically for treating the mesial aspect of the maxillary first premolar. So I hope till now you have understood the double wedging technique. Where it was used for widening of the proximal box, and also where there is sufficient space of putting another wedge where a single wedge is not sufficient. And for wedge wedging indication is in the treating the mesial aspect of the maxillary first premolar. With this, we are now going to move to our questions answer. What is exactly piggyback wedging technique? So here again we are using two wedges. So that means all the three techniques consist of two wedges, but it is the matter that where and how they are placed. So piggyback wedging technique is we are using two wedges, but here one wedge is larger and one wedge is smaller. So in case one wedge is this much and the other wedge is this much, so the larger wedge, okay, do remember the larger wedge, this is the larger wedge and this is the smaller wedge. So the larger wedge is inserted as used normally from the buccal surface, but the smaller wedge is inserted above the large wedge. That means we are placing, if these are the two teeth, so we are placing one wedge over the other. So it will be like this. Two wedges will be placed inside the embrasure area of the two teeth where we need to provide the proper contour and the cavity preparation is done. So I hope you have understood what exactly is piggyback technique, the double wedging technique and the wedge wedging technique. But before that, what are the indications? That is the most important point for our question, that the indication for piggyback technique is it can be used for a shallow proximal box with a gingival recession. So wherever there is gingival recession, so normally the gingiva can be placed is here, okay, but here as you can see there is gingival recession. So whenever there is a case of gingival recession, we are going to use the piggyback wedging technique, and in such cases a second usually smaller wedge is piggybacked over the first one, okay. So this is why we call it as piggyback wedging technique, and I hope you have understood. The most important point here is that it is used for in the case where there is gingival recession. So let's go back to our question. In which condition the piggyback wedging technique is indicated? So here we will be saying in the case of proximal caries where the two teeth are meeting, in case the proximal caries is present with the gingival recession. But let's also discuss the other three options. Tooth with fluted surfaces, where we had seen it in the wedge wedging technique. It was one of the indications. The second one was class 2 with wide proximal box. That was our first one. Our double wedging, where it was used for widening of the proximal box. And last one is narrow class 2 cavity. In case of narrow class 2 cavity, we won't be using piggyback technique for sure. So the answer for our question is option A, proximal caries with this gingival recession. Do remember this word gingival recession, and you will be easily able to remember that in case of gingival recession, we go for piggyback technique. So I hope you have understood this MCQ which we have discussed, and also a short topic on wedging technique. Keep watching our videos and keep resolving the MCQs. In case of any doubt, you can put it in the comment section. In case if you want any topic to be discussed, a short topic to be discussed, we can be discussing all those topics. So before that, don't forget to subscribe our BDS Express YouTube channel. And in case you want such kind of important MCQ discussions, short topic discussions, you can join our exclusive WhatsApp group on www.medicoapps.org/group. The link of this group is also given in the description of this video. Kindly join our channel and keep watching. Good day, good luck for now.